Hello and welcome back. Now let us continue our modeling process of this brindavan. Right now we are working by opening the previous file 7 brindavan rough structure bevel which we had saved in our previous session. This file is available to you for your reference in the link below the video. Now to begin with, I select this brindavan and I will press tab on the keyboard to enter into the edit mode. Now I am in edit mode. Now in edit mode, if I press numpad 1 come to the front view, I will temporarily switch off main structure here by clicking on this eye icon. Now if you carefully observe this structure is symmetric both along the x-axis and the y-axis. Symmetric means whatever model is present on the left hand side and the right hand side are exactly the mirror of one another. So when we are modeling, say for example we model this structure over here, I need not again model it here because these two structures are the same. Instead of modeling the entire brindavan, all the sides, we are going to model only 25% of this brindavan and we are going to mirror it both along the x-axis and the y-axis. So now what we have to now first do is, I will open my main structure, I will just zoom out and now press numpad 1 to come to front view, middle mouse click and rotate to see it from a profile like this. Now what I want is, I am going to model only 25% of this model and then I am going to use a modifier called mirror to actually reproduce the other side. So our first mission is, I have to now use only 25% of this model and remove off all other segments. Now as you are seeing here, if I come to the vertex mode or edit mode and if I see this model, if required I will come to wireframe view. You can see here, to divide it at the center, we do not have any edge or division as of now. I will come back to shaded view. If I select the faces, every face is a quad. See, it's a complete quad. I want this to be cut exactly to the half. I want to add a division or an edge. The addition of an edge to a model is what we call in Blender as loop cut. Loop cut is the tool that you have after the bevel. So if I select this loop cut and if I bring the mouse over the model, wherever I bring the mouse, you are going to see a yellow outline, and this yellow outline determines where the loop cut is going to happen. As I move the mouse, if I bring the mouse over here, the loop cut is going to happen across this face. If I bring it here, it happens across this face, but I want it to happen across the vertical face here. So once I select the face, so if required I will middle mouse click, rotate it a little to the top view and now you can see this is adding a loop exactly at the center. Now how this loop cut is going to work is, this loop cut will be placed exactly to the center of this face. So either I can place it horizontally over the x-axis or the y-axis. Now I am placing it along the y-axis and I am going to do one click. I will just left click once and you have this parameter loop cut and slide open here. And in this parameter, the first parameter you can adjust is number of cuts. See, I can increase the number of cuts. I can make it 2. Now what happened is, to avoid this appearance of this yellow grid, I will shift my tool from loop cut back to selection tool. Okay. Now you can see here This is correctly divided into 3 parts. Now if I make this 3, now you can see this has been equally divided into 4 parts. If I make it 5, this is equally divided into 5 parts. The first parameter, right now I will set this back to 1. Now the next thing is smoothness. Smoothness, as I increase or decrease, you can see the cuts are moving either outside or it will go inside. See, I can either move it in or out like this. So if I make this number negative, it moves inside. If I make this number positive, it moves outside. This is the second parameter. Right now I will set this parameter to 0. Then you have fall off. Right now it is set to inverse square. You have smooth, you have sphere, you have root. I will set it back to inverse square, and this fall off we are going to study it in detail when we work on a particular reference object. So right now remember, let us keep this fall off to inverse square. And then you have the factor, and in factor, if I move it right, see, if I make this factor 1, the cut comes to the left hand corner here, and if I make this minus 1, this will come to this corner, and 0 means it will be exactly to the center. So now if I select the vertices mode, and now you can see one additional set of vertices and edges added exactly to the center. Now the same loop cut can also be applied using a keyboard shortcut. The keyboard shortcut that we are going to use is, you can see here, it is Ctrl plus R. So now to apply a loop cut along the x axis, we have right now applied it along the y axis. To apply it along the x axis, I will press Ctrl plus R, and I am going to add one more loop cut, which is now along the x axis. If I click it, now when I am applying it with keyboard shortcut, as soon as I click, remember, you have one slider appearing. This will not appear when you use the tool directly from the toolbar, but when you are using keyboard shortcut, after the click you will have a slider, and using the slider you can either move this to the right or you can move it to the left. Right now I want this exactly at the center. So if I want to cancel this move, then I have to right click, and this is now placed exactly at the center, and again here you have all these parameters to control. So right now what we did is, now we have cut this entire model into 4 pieces. Now I will press numpad 7 and I will come to the top view. Remember, whenever you are doing some editing and if you are going to manipulate the original structure, it is always better to have a backup. So right now I am in edit mode. I will press tab and come back to object mode. You have this main structure here. I will select it in the screen. I will press shift plus D, duplicate it, and then right click, and you have a copy placed exactly at the same spot. Now I will select this in this outliner, and I am going to name this as main structure backup 1. I will come back to scene collection here. I will right click and create a new collection, and I am going to call this collection as Brindavan backups. I am going to drag this and move it into Brindavan backups. If there is any mistake in our modeling, we can come back to this model and we can restore it. I will just hide this entire model. I will come back to main structure, and now what I will do is, I will press the tab button, I will enter into vertex mode, and I will draw a box and select all the vertices from the top view. Now the problem is, if I turn and show it to you, you can see some of the vertices are not selected. I will again press 7 and come back to top view. If you want all the vertices to be selected, I have to come here and enable toggle X-ray. And now if I make the selection, now what happens is, see, all these vertices are selected. Now I will press 7, come back to the top view. I will press X and choose vertex to delete. So now what happened? Half of our Brindavan model is now completely deleted. Okay. Again now I will press 7, come back to top view, and I am going to drag one more box on the left hand side here. Select all the vertices on this part. I will again press X and choose vertices to delete off all the vertices. And now if I rotate it and show it to you, we have just 25% of the model. I will switch off this toggle X-ray and I will press tab to come back to object view. Now how to get back our full Brindavan? For this, we are going to add a modifier which is called as the mirror modifier. For this, come to the modifier window here, and in this modifier already bevel has been added. Come back to add modifier and select a modifier here called as mirror. When I choose this mirror modifier, you can see the mirror modifier is added here, and right now the axis is set to X. So if I switch off X, you can see this is the original object. If I mirror it along the X axis, you are going to see this half is done. Now for the other half, I am going to mirror it along the Y axis also. So now you can see the entire Brindavan is visible to you. If I press tab and come to edit mode, I am going to work and make modification only on this 1/4 of this Brindavan, and whatever changes I do here will be applied on the other side. So for this, I am now going to select any of, to give you an example. So if I come to face select, I select a face here and I will press G and I will press Y and move it. You can see, although I am moving just one face, all the other faces are also moving. So this way I am going to do my modification only on this 25%, and I am going to replicate it on all the other side. So right now I will edit and undo this modification. So now our model is ready. We are going to add all the details present on this Brindavan using only this 25% of the model. Let us now press tab, come back here, and one thing is, here in mirror, see that this clipping is enabled so that they doesn't overlap or go beyond one another. I will explain what is clipping in a separate class. So right now we have made this model. So with this, now go to file, choose save as, and give this the name as 8 Brindavan, and now I am going to name this as quarter side mirror, and then I will press save. So now the file is saved. With this, let us conclude this session, and in the next session we are going to work on other modification tools, and as we work we are going to build the details on this Brindavan structure. So, let us meet in our next session. Thank you.